Another evidence video for case 2016 TAC 31323235, aka the Santa napping. Right now we're dealing with some of the elves, specifically Holly is offering to finish building a Cranberry Pi microcomputerizer that will help me access some of the locked doors that I've been running into around North Pole. In order for her to finish, she needs us to obtain the password from the image file. It's not normally something I do, but I'm hoping that maybe the password might be some sort of another clue, or perhaps just some information into the character that is Santa Claus, and maybe that will help me track him down, or look for figure out who his captor is. So the first thing that needs to happen is you need to download or obtain the Cranberry Pi image, which was given to me by Holly, and then you need to unzip it. So right now I have a Cranberry Pi image right here. We can take a look at it. It's fairly large. So the first thing we need to do, or the next thing we need to do after obtaining it, is we need to mount it. And so mounting images like this is a little tricky. In fact, Bash for Windows is not even able to do it yet. So I have this virtual machine here that's letting me do it. But from even beyond those issues, it's a little tricky because it's not straightforward. So let's I have already made a mount directory. So we're gonna go through the steps to figure out how to mount this thing. So first things we need to do is find out what partitions are in the Cranbian Jesse image. And the way we do that is using fdisk, which will just list out the partitions. So here we have two partitions. We've got this must be some sort of boot partition, but this is very obviously the size and everything is the Linux image that we're looking to get a hold of. Now, the start of this is on sector 137,216, but that's sector, not bytes. And when we mount, the offset for mounting isn't done in bytes. So what we need to do is figure out what byte offset that partition is. So we can figure that out by doing a little bit of math in our computer. We can take the sector size of 512 bytes, and we just multiply that by the sector that it is, so 137,216, and we've got that answer there. So next thing we do is we'll do mount. We will just use -O for option. Offset equals. Now we can just copy and paste this, which is super cool, but we can actually skip this previous step. This is essentially saying, please run this, and then its output is going to be put here, right? So we'll just go ahead and do that here. 7216. And then we will specify our image. Oops. Cranbian Jesse.image, and do that in mount. Now, we didn't get any errors back, so we should be good, right? So let's cd into mount, and we'll look around, and there is what looks like a normal normal Linux computer. But if we pwd, we're still in our root/mount directory. And for those of you screaming, yes, I am running everything as root. I am inside of a Kali Linux virtual machine, which by default runs as root for various reasons. But yes, you are absolutely correct when you're screaming at your screens right now. Normally, you should not run your machine, a Linux machine, just as root all the time. There are many security implications for doing that, and I have considered them and said, let's move forward. So anyways, we're in root mount, and here is our file system for the Cranberry Pi. So we are going to use a tool called John the Ripper, and John the Ripper requires a certain file format to be able to crack on. So we are going to use a utility called unshadow, and we are going to use that against the Etsy password and Etsy shadow files of this file system. So if you notice, there's not a slash here or a slash there because we're not getting our Etsy password and Etsy shadow. We're getting the ones inside of the Cranberry Pi. I have messed that up dozens of times, as I'm sure you will, but just pay special attention when you're doing it, and everything should be groovy. And normally unshadow just copies or pastes that out to standard out, but we're going to redirect that into a file in this little tilde or squiggly line, as some people call it, is just a shortcut to go back to my home directory. And so we'll just put that, we'll just call that unshadowed. Boom. And then we're done in the Cranberry Pi. So we can cd back to our home directory. Now, we are going to use John the Ripper. And one of the elves has, in one of his many jokes, he really likes his puns, has told me that rocku.txt is his favorite word list. And so I have obtained a copy of that and put it in my home directory. So we are going to tell John that we want to use the rocku.txt. I think it can figure it out, but we'll just be explicit here. Rocku.txt. And then against the unshadowed, again, will be, this is a demo, will be explicit. Unshadowed directory here, or file here. If we go, boom, it cracked it. What it did is it automatically tried to detect what kind of hash the unshadowed file has in it. So if we cat unshadowed, we actually see here that the password is a hash, right? That's not a plain text password. So it looks at this and evaluates it and compares it against a bunch of different techniques and stuff, different indicators, and tries to determine what kind of hash it is. So it detected that it was a SHA-512 crypt hash. Detected default character encoding of UTF-8, and then it loaded it and started running the dictionary attack against it, and it found its match, yummy cookies. So as I assumed we would find some interesting character information about Santa Claus, he loves cookies, and I'm sure that will help our investigation as we move forward.